योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि संगं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्योः समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते. Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna, and he uses the epithet Dhananjaya. Two meanings of Dhananjaya is given by the commentators. Dhana means wealth. Jaya, one who earns or gains, wins over wealth and property and so on, so forth. Dhananjaya. So Dhananjaya is also the name of a bow that Arjuna possessed. That was called as Dhananjaya, because it would make him victorious. Having that or using that in any war would make him victorious. That is another meaning. One who is wearing, or one who is one who possesses that Dhananjaya. That means that bow and arrow. Of course, it's an epithet of Arjuna. He says, Dhananjaya yogastaha karmani kuru. How? Sangam tyaktva. Yogastaha. It's a very, very loaded word that we have here. Yogastaha. Stha means to be established in, to settle in, to be established in. Yoga, with your mind steadfast, being established in yoga. What does it say? Sangam tyaktva. Tyaktva means abandoning. Sangam means attachment. Sangam tyaktva. Siddhi asiddhyoho samo bhutva. Siddhi means success. Asiddhi means failure. So in success and failure, samo bhutva, you be alike. That means you have sameness. Samatva. Samo bhutva. Karmani kuru, perform your action. Yogaha samatvam yoga uchyate. Samatva means evenness of mind is called as yoga. We'll read the running meaning. Engage yourself in action with the mind steadfast in yoga. Engage yourself in action with your mind steadfast. The mind should become steadfast. That means yoga, or achieving this goal of union with the divine, must be my goal of everyday life. How to do it? I will come to it. And then he says, abandon attachments, O Arjuna, and be unperturbed in success and failure. This unperturbed sameness in all conditions, he calls it as yoga. So yoga, that which integrates everything. This is one of the commentators. He says, that which integrates everything in life into one goal is known as yoga. That is one of the definitions. In our life, we need to integrate everything. Whenever we disintegrate anything, we break something, then there is chaos, which all of us are very much aware of. So integrating, bringing everything together to one head is known as yoga over here. And the another meaning of yoga is having an samatva. That is another definition is samatva. That means even-mindedness, where in siddhi and asiddhi, in success or in failure, in all of that you have that sameness. Before he discovered the tungsten, Edison tested thousands of materials, thousands of materials, not one or two or hundreds, but thousands of materials. So what did he do? He was not discouraged by not getting what he wanted. He went on, pursued with whatever he wanted to do, and at the end he found that the best conductor is the tungsten, and then we have this electric bulb. But you also know that in his whole laboratory was burnt. You know that story, isn't it? His whole laboratory was burnt, and when the fire was on, he called his child and said, "Go and call your mummy." Why? You will never see such wonderful fire anywhere. Come and see. See, his whole life's experiments and all the results of experiment was in that laboratory, but he was Sama, because he knew that within him rests this great power and that he can recreate them. So that is one of the definitions of a yogi, who is Sama, who has that evenness of mind, whether in success or in failure. Okay. So Samatva is equanimity. Our intellect, the buddhi, has two aspects. One is known as dhriti, that means determinate, and the other is indeterminate, that means confused. Determinate and indeterminate. For those people whose aim in life is only pleasure, so only life is material benefits or gains, the Shastra says such people's mind is indeterminate. But for those people whose aim is the realization of one's own self, such a person is known as Dhira. That means one who is determinate. So the equanimity, if we have to achieve to this level of equanimity, this buddhi, this determinate buddhi must be brought into our daily life. How to do it? This is one of the questions. We have always been talking about philosophies, but how to do it is something which we will try to develop today. I will give, that's why I requested all of you to have some pen and paper with you. I originally thought of typing it out, but I couldn't find the time to do it. My apologies. I might send it over later, but for those who can take notes, please do so. If we have to progress in life, we need to have certain practices in our life. We need to practice certain disciplines in our life. Referring to this shloka, referring to this verse of Yogastha, how can we become a karma yogi? Or how can we become a yogi over here? We can customize our own template for this kind of yoga. And we always have to bear in mind that the goal of life, or the goal of all of our actions, is to harmonize this. Harmonize, that means this samatva, equanimity, by achieving equanimity between the body, the mind and the speech, which we spoke about extensively in the previous two sessions. How to purify our body, how to purify our mind, and how to purify our speech. So let us come to some daily practices. We need to start our everyday life with some kind of self-reminders. Self-reminders. We need to Atma Avalokanas. It is called as Atma Avalokana, self-reminders. So, affirmations or making some positive resolutions in our life are very helpful. There is no doubt about that. They are very helpful. But the only problem with most of us is that we break the resolution the moment after we make the resolution. That we need to try to avoid that. Let us try. There are some, I will give you about 7 points or 7 resolutions that we can make in our everyday life. To those of you who are familiar with the Buddhist faith, a Buddhist monk is supposed to make about 320 resolutions every day and follow it up. A Buddhist monk. That is to say that if you again and again pour into yourself these resolutions, if you start making those resolutions slowly and slowly, at least among those 320, at least 3 will come into use in your everyday life. They will become a reminder. So let us have these few reminders in our daily life. So let us start with the first one. Of course, those of us who believe in God, we can make these resolutions after our daily prayers. That is always better. After our daily puja or japa and all that, we do these resolutions. The first is a resolution to have proper motives in my life, in my day-to-day life. So let us say, I will resolve to be mindful of the motives behind my action. Motives. Why am I doing something? What is the motive for which I am, with which I am doing this action? Motives behind. That means I will examine all my motives and make sure that they conform to my spiritual ideal. And then you bow down and say, I make this resolution that I will be mindful of my motives. That is one thing. Secondly, I resolve to be mindful of the nature of the work that I am doing, whether the work is ethical, whether the work is productive or not. So the second resolution is that I resolve to be mindful of the nature of my actions throughout the day. The third resolution is that I resolve to be mindful of the quality of work that I will do. The quality of work. That means I will work with love and care and not do it like a servant. A servant does a job because he has to earn a living, that's all. So I will do it with care and love. The fourth resolution that I will talk about is that I will resolve to be mindful of my approach to work. How do I approach the work? That is, I will do my work as an offering to the divine. I have performed the puja to the divine this morning, just now. Now, from now onwards, my actions will be an offering to the divine. So whatever I give goes back to the divine. It is not mine. Na mama, it is not mine. It goes to the divine. That is the approach. The fourth is the approach. And the fifth resolution that I make will be, I resolve to be mindful of my mind. See, that means I will focus my attention on all the activities that I perform and not distracted from it. I will not leave something half done and then go away. No, I will make sure that I put my whole mind into it. Swami Vivekananda once told one of his disciples, look here, if you can become a good cook, you can become a good yogi also. So he said, how can I, if I am a good cook, how can be a yogi? Well, if you are a good cook means that you focus all of your attention into the cooking. You are putting all the ingredients to the needed quantity and also at the right time when you are cooking. So that means your whole attention is in that and you are not distracted by anything. If you can do that, then you can sit and meditate also likewise. So that is the fifth one. Yeah, I will focus all my attention on the activity that I am performing and I will not get distracted. Then the sixth one is I resolve to be mindful of my speech. I will not hurt anyone by my speech. Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. That's a very famous, very wonderful prayer that you all pray every day. No? Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. From me, let there be no unhappiness caused towards anybody else. That's a very great resolution that we can make. Sometimes knowingly we hurt people by our speech. Sometimes unknowingly we hurt people. If we do something unknowingly, then there is kshama prarthana. That means we can beg pardon of it and it will be forgiven. But if I do something knowingly, it is like the arrow that has left the bow. It has already started traveling. It will go and hit the target. You cannot withdraw it from the midway. So that is what it is. So I will not hurt anyone. And the second part of that resolution is that I will listen to others with patience. Patient hearing is such a great talent that people have. Not many people have that. Many people have this great talent to speak, but very few people have the talent to listen patiently. So that is important. So I will not hurt anyone and I will listen patiently to the others. And the seventh is I resolve to be mindful of all my actions. I've said that before. That means I will be efficient and use my time and energy positively. Whatever I do, I will use my time and energy positively and I will be aware of every action that I perform. These are the 7 resolutions that we can make every day. A karma yogi is one who is aware of these resolutions, who abides by these resolutions and naturally is uplifted in his life by following these resolutions in one's life. And during that day, we should make an effort to remain alert, calm, and cheerful. That's a very important thing. Cheerfulness is very important. And then there is another exercise. Please don't think I am very bossy over this here at all. I'm just mentioning to you whatever I have heard or whatever I have read from the other monks and the other books that I have read. So one of the things that a karma yogi does in the evening, that is before retiring to bed, this is called as the first one was self-reminder. The first action, the 7 resolution, and then the last one is introspection. Introspection. We need to introspect. That is, first ask the question: did I do anything that is not ethical in my life? Secondly, did I work with love and care during the day? And thirdly, did I perform all my actions as a dedication to the divine, as an offering to the divine? Fourthly, did I talk in vain? Did I hurt anybody, or did I heal somebody with my words, my walk? Did I heal somebody, help somebody with my words? And fifthly, did I handle the praise and the criticism that I received during the day equanimously? Did I get extremely upset with the person who criticized me, or did I become extremely elated when somebody praised me? This is where, see, the other things can be handled, but this praise and criticism is the most difficult thing to handle. It's most difficult thing to handle. And sixthly, the last one is, did I make good use of my time and energy, or did I fritter it away? Did I waste it away during the day? So first you start your day with a firm resolution, and then you end the day by learning the lessons from your actions during the day. And this will give you the Karma Yoga score for, for our lives. Another thing which I was taught by one of our senior Swamis was, at the end of doing this exercise of introspection, transfer all of these thoughts to the divine and say, all of the actions that I have done, good or bad or negligible, all of these I transfer it into the Mahat or the Hiranyagarbha or into the divine. And then you have a restful sleep and tremendous results accrued from this kind of a spiritual practice. So yogasthaha, if we want to become real yogis, then yogasthaha, what is the method? So these are some of the practical methods that we can use. There are other meditative methods also that is also there, but these are practical and to things that we can really do without too much of an effort during our day. And the joy that I feel at the end of the day when I have performed all this action as yoga is immeasurable. Slowly and slowly that dispassion and that detachment will become a part of our own selves. Everything comes from the divine and everything goes back to the divine. That is the concept of yajna, which we will come across later in our studies of this wonderful scripture, Bhagavad Gita.